Hello, Cedar Life Gardening. So I did just want to do a makeup video. I'm out here where I did already trim somewhat of a lousy job on the Washington Asparagus patch I have going here on some of the growth from last year that's just all brown and finished out, and really at this point forward mostly only going to serve as a place for some pests to live. Namely, the asparagus beetle likes to live in the overgrowth, but I did leave all the foliage over the winter to kind of try to protect from some of the colder temperature days that we would get. And I believe it did its job, and that pretty soon we'll be seeing some shoots come up. I think it knows to wait a little bit longer because it knows where it's at. It's already lived through several winters. It might be time to harvest it this season in the spring. If it's big enough, I probably will. If it looks too small, I might leave it for one more and then start taking it, which should be its fourth spring next year. I started these from seed. I didn't get crowns. But there is some leftover work to do, so I thought I would explain a little bit about what you're aiming to do. You want to not do it if there are new asparagus coming up, because you could cause some shock to the new growth that's trying to come, even though it's the spent growth. Just the fact that it's in that stage, you might shock it a little bit. But I'm pretty certain, I've looked around and I don't really see anything. I did find this guy, but I'm pretty sure that is not an asparagus shoot. That is either garlic or some onion. Because I did let some onion go to seed here, and I've also grown garlic in this bed before, and it's possible that I maybe missed a clove because I waited too long, and the top completely died back, so I didn't even pull there because I have waited too long before in some of my very first garlic growing. A little bit too long in some of my first seasons for the garlic harvest. You want to let the plant get at least halfway brown on a garlic harvest, but you don't want to let it go all the way and then fall over and be limp and shrivel away, so that you don't see where to harvest, and that's way too far. You'll get garlic rotting in the ground. Yeah, we're just coming through and trying to trim back on the asparagus here, trying to trim really close to the ground if we can, within an inch. That's what you're aiming for. If you leave too much, it can cause some problems with, I believe it'll cause problems with the moisture sitting too much on the crown because of the, I don't know, you would maybe even call it nucleation sites, I guess, for the water to cling to on the stalk that's left over. So you want to get it pretty close to the ground. That's why I'm coming back through and even doing some work instead of just showing you what I've done. Just because some of these I left a little long, and it's just because it was really thick. I probably definitely could have planted these a little more spaced out, but I was in the mode of done is better than perfect when I was doing it. That first year, I was just excited they had all germinated, and they were just hard to separate, so I was just like, done's better than perfect. And yeah, maybe these a little closer too. And some of this other stuff is just other plants I've left, like here's some broccoli. I was just kind of experimenting to see if it would come back in the spring, if I just harvested it and left the rest of the growth. Some of it, I believe over here is cucumber and tomato growing that I just haven't cleaned up, and I believe I'm planning on leaving the roots in the ground, and I'll just snip it close and pull some weeds and plant some other stuff a little later on. I'm waiting a little further on to do that because we're not out of danger of frost here till about mid-May. I should probably go to the other side to get the rest of that. Like, there's a piece. I'll walk you guys around. Hopefully, I'm still on the phone and I haven't took the case off today to do this video. Hopefully, there's not a lot of phone case noise. and hopefully I'm not doing the worst job of hopefully that's not the first time you've actually seen the scissors in progress. Yeah. Over here starts the garlic in this patch, and there's goji berry in that. There's some other goji berries in the border material in the pot is actually raspberry that I pulled up that still had growth on it. When what I was aiming to do was snap the one I was trying to snap, but it pulled the whole thing, and there was a new shoot in it too, so I just threw it in a pot real fast. I have another pot that's full of them that I did that, and it started with just one, but I haven't put it in the ground anywhere for several seasons. And then it's just a pot full of raspberry shoots that you can divide out and space out when you plant them out. But that's the raspberry patch there, and there's the other garlic bed. Got 2 garlic beds going. Asparagus patch, some goji berries, raspberries. Got some yellow winter strawberries in another bed over closer to the house. And I grew a ton of basil there with it last year. I might try and do that again, dark opal basil, right there in front of the house. But I think I'm trying to find some more. There's a couple, I think, unless these are just already loose. Yeah, some of this is already loose and I just didn't clean up my work. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that this thing is just an onion or a garlic. So I'm going to come and clean up this a little closer to the ground here. And I think, other than I think this might just be a weed in with the asparagus here. But either way, old weed, asparagus stalk. Try to clean it up. Alright. Yeah, I think we're good on the asparagus, and it'll wake up here shortly. And everything will be hunky-dory, and it'll be happy because no pests lived and all that. There's not even a pile left, I don't think, because it's been about a week or two since I did it the first time. There's just a small pile of stuff there that I pulled today, but it was a lot of foliage that some asparagus beetles would have loved to have made a home in, so I'm glad we got that done. And once I see some growth, I'll probably sprinkle some Trifecta Plus and give them some water, just to water that in. That's a fertilizer I like to use that, I forget the numbers on it, but it is a good nice all-purpose type of balance on the NPK. And then it also has, I should be able to list them from memory at this point, but a lot of other nutrients as well, and beneficial bacteria and fungus. And that's my favorite. I use that on basically everything as a fertilizer when I plant it out, or just as a top dressing fertilizer. But yeah, we'll put some of that on and water it in once it starts showing new growth, and hopefully if it looks good enough, we might be able to harvest this year. But before this video gets any longer, I think I'm just going to keep this one a little bit short. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry I didn't show you the bulk of the work. That video got lost to technology. I shot it on an older camera, and long story short, it didn't make it to the channel. But I did want to make it up to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Happy gardening. Maybe try your hand at asparagus. It's easier to start with crowns. I'll give you that advice. But you can cold stratify your seeds and start from seed like I did. Just takes a lot longer than if you start with a second or third year crown. I believe most people would sell first or second year crowns. And you'd want to get that second year crown and then maybe even keep it 1 year and then harvest it the next year. But if you start from seed, you're going to be waiting at least 3 years to harvest it, unless you just don't care about being able to keep it going without having to replant. But if you do, you just want to let it grow for several seasons to really establish the roots. That's why you do that, so that it'll come back for about 25 seasons without you having to replant. But anyway, happy gardening, guys. Thanks for coming back to See Life Gardening if you're new. And you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a subscribe. Tell a friend that likes to garden about it. Anyway, happy gardening. Have a good one, guys.